So good morning, everyone. So I'm going to talk about organic wine. So following on fair trade, a certification for sustainable wine. So as you may know, winemaking is not always so kind of bucolic and wonderful and natural. Winemaking is kind of a heavy user, of chemicals. We had this case, I think, in 2014 in the Bordeaux area, where a school had to be evacuated because the teachers as well as the children were sick from all the pesticides that were kind of put on the vineyards surrounding the school. So there have been a bunch of cases in France, for example, and lawsuits looking at the winemaking and cancer and Parkinson, and people kind of starting to figure out the impact of winemaking on health and the heavy use of chemicals. So the question is, for those vineyards who want to go green and avoid the use of chemicals, what is the impact, what's the market, and what's, is the wine as good? Is there a trade-off between organic winemaking and, and quality? So we're going to look at whether organic wine tastes better or not. And just before to explain to you, and similarly to fair trade, organic certification, and we're going to look at the case of the US and California wine. You have two steps. First, you you can just decide to adopt green practices, no chemicals in the winemaking process, in growing your grapes. And then you get certification, third-party certification, and then you have the choice to put this on your label. So this is a kind of a three-step process. We're going to, in this paper, look at certification. We're able to observe wineries that are certified and those that are not. We're not looking at whether they label this. So there's been kind of a debate, especially in California, between eco-certification and quality. Some people and some consumers think that there is a trade-off between green wines and quality. I think these are wines that don't taste as good. There are reasons to believe this, but if we look at, we did some surveys and we found that people in general in the US have a pretty negative opinion actually about green wines. And so this translates from the producer side of producers saying, well, maybe we believe that this is good for the environment and we want to do this, but we can't tell the consumers because consumers are going to tell us, well, this is crappy wine, this is hippie wine, and we're not really, into this. So we're not willing to pay a premium. And in California, 2/3 of eco-certified wineries, so wineries that went through the process of certification, and same thing as fair trade. This is 10 to 15% a higher cost in terms of more labor to grow the grapes, and not putting the label on their bottle. It's kind of a puzzle. They're going through the certification process. They don't want to talk about it. So this is kind of the puzzle. And so what we wanted to do in this paper is to look at whether actually this is true, or whether consumers are unaware of and what the experts think. So some of the winemakers actually think that organic wine is better because you're using, you're using the grapes. The grapes are more natural, and then they're not treated with chemicals. And what some producers say is that it's easier to work with them, and then it creates better wine. So this is an example from this winemaker. To express the true terroir, you need to kind of, avoid the chemicals. We did a survey and we found out that actually wine quality was one reason why producers would, seek certification. So you see there is this disconnect between what consumers think and what producers think. So who's right? The producers or the consumers? Are all the consumers just unaware? So what we're going to look at in this paper, what we're looking at is is expert review scores. We're looking at 3 experts, one of the main ones, the infamous Robert Parker, from Wine Advocate. We have some ratings from Wine Spectator, James Lobb, and second one, and the wine enthusiast, Steve Imhoff. So we're looking at 74,000 California wines from 3,842 wineries from 1998 to 2009. So we did, kind of get the information from their website, They just don't want to share this information. They say it's on the website, just go for it. And we had a team of undergrad. That's before Olivier kind of learned how to scrape these things. And with undergrads, it just like went wine by wine. So the dependent variable, as you know, it's from 0 to 100, but there are some differences between the different scores. They all, if we look at the average rating, some are higher than others. And so what we're going to do to look at this score is we are going to standardize the score, this distribution, with this scaling score from Cardeba and Paroissien, I think, which was published in the Journal of Wine Economics. And then we're looking at both actually organic certification and biodynamic certification. So we're actually looking at two types of certification. We put them together. We have a bunch of control variables. We're able to control for appellation, region, grapes, number of case produced, etc. So we're looking at the quality, the score of the wine, and we're looking at the variable eco-certification. It's pretty simple. And the findings are that there is a positive effect. It's not that big, but it's, depending on, if you don't scale, it's about 1 point. If you scale, you get to 4 points difference. So there is some kind of difference. It's really small, but I think for us, just finding that it wasn't negative was interesting. It shows that it is possible that organic wines are as good, at least, and maybe slightly better, but that the experts don't have this negative view of the organic wines. We also find that if you look at these two columns, we're looking at Wine Advocate, WA, WE, and WS, so these three different ratings. It seems that Wine Advocate and Wine Enthusiast are more positive, and Wine Spectator is actually not significant in that case. It seems also that this is really mostly relevant for red wines, which it's kind of interesting. I mean, I'm sure you have also some opinions on that, but it's possible that red wines, wines that you can keep longer and, that might kind of explain the reason why organic wines are, have this positive sign. Just as a matter of clarification, in our database, we're looking at wine made with organically grown grapes. The process of making the wine is like conventional wine. So this kind of these are our results. Then we wanted to look, we did some instrumental variables. The results are really similar. We did look at the result without scaling the variable with the raw scores, and the results are really similar. Here it's looking at the percentage of wineries in the area and the previous years of certification. In the last kind of minutes of my presentation, I just wanted to kind of tell you a little bit of also what we started to do with the review notes. So what we have is not only the score, but we also have the review notes in this in this database. So we're thinking, okay, so what if the winemakers are true? Can we see in what the experts are saying the actual true terroir? Do we see more terms like, I don't know, like earth, or because it's just the chemicals haven't kind of clouded that. So we looked at all the words, and we used some stemming techniques, and then we did regress all the words and to see which ones were significant when you use the term organic. So we had positive and negative words, and then we regressed the number of positive words and the type of words. So what we found, and I don't have the regression here, is that actually there are more words, significantly more words in this description for organic wines. So that might be an indication that they are more excited about the wine. And then we did some of these, using this technique. So we looked at the significant terms. So this is how it looks like if you want to depict it in kind of a picture. And so you can see that there are kind of two different words that come up, cherry and acid. But you have, some richer, fineness. I mean, so we do find some of these terms. The cherry comes really from the red wine, and the acids come really from the white wines. So we haven't really kind of completed this, analysis, but are kind of interested in kind of a richer analysis of how you depict the wine, and we see some significant differences in the terms that I use. So I don't have any more time, just to conclude then. So what we find is that experts' wine certification has a positive effect on wine expect ratings. This positive view is mostly for red wines. We thought it was useful to use these three different sources of information. They seem to agree. There's one that's not significant, but they tend to agree on the positive side. And it seems like experts have a different opinion than consumer on this, a kind of a very drastic different opinion. Thank you very much.